Mike Bohn joined now by the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion, Julianna Peña, who defends her title next week in New Jersey, UFC 316 against Kayla Harrison. Julianna, this time next week, you'll have weighed in. We'll be starting ceremonial weigh-ins. When you start thinking of like how close you would be to the finish line a week from now, how excited does that get you?
It gets me really excited. I was thinking about that the other day when I was waking up in the morning, and I thought, one more week of this, and then I'll be able to be more leisurely on my walks with my dog and spend more time with my daughter and doing the things that she deserves to do and enjoying my summer vacation. I think that this is a perfect time for me to fight. Very
Yeah,
excited.
it's a great time to kick things off. Does that like you're not painting the picture though? You're just looking forward to the fight being over though, right? Like you're still embracing this whole next week experience.
Oh yeah, no, I think that fight week is such an exciting time and being able to get that buzz generated throughout fight week is always something that I look forward to. So yes, absolutely. I'm very excited for this fight.
Yeah, and I remember when I think the last time we did a one-on-one was before your fight with Raquel, and you were talking about, you wanted to win the title back, and then a big goal was to defend the title this time around in this reign. How much has that been like a driving force or something you've thought about throughout camp, like knowing, I want to get something here that I couldn't get during my last title reign?
It's the mistakes that I made in that first fight that I know that I'm not going to make, excuse me, in that second fight that I know I'm not going to make in this second title defense. So I'm glad and grateful for those humbling moments that I had in that second fight and looking to avenge that situation on June 7th.
Yeah, and it's obviously very different circumstances, right? The last time it was a rematch with Amanda. This time it's a completely, new opponent. How does that change things, I guess, going in? Like last time you knew what you were getting in that title defense. This time it's a little more foreign.
Yeah, it's a different opponent, and every opponent comes with a whole nother bag of challenges and tricks. So the most biggest, excuse me, takeaway that I can say is that I'm just purely 110% focused on Kayla Harrison and getting my hand raised on June 7th, and that's the only thing that I care about.
Yeah, I think I spoke to her like a few days after your guys' press conference in Miami, and she kind of admitted like she thought to herself for a moment, like, did I just lose that press conference with Juliana? You hearing that, does that like make you feel, even if it's just a little bit, you maybe gave her some self doubt somewhere along the line leading up to this fight?
No, I know that she doubts herself all the time and that she's extremely emotional. And I didn't need her to admit that to know that. I knew that then.
Right. What I guess with that in mind, though, going into what will now be, I guess, like what your third press conference on the same stage, fourth. What do you take away from the last experiences with her that you'll try to bring into this one?
Nothing much. I truly believe that everything that I'm saying is just facts, and there are things that are coming to me very naturally because they're things that I know are true. And so it's not like I'm putting on some show or that I'm making things up here or just trying to do it for entertainment purposes. I'm just speaking facts, and I think that when you speak facts, it's very easy and natural for me to come across the way that I did, which is, as everybody saw, uh, getting under her skin.
Yes. Well, I think an element of that, has definitely been some of the stuff you said about like potential PED use in the past. You see her coaches now doing interviews, like coming out and defending her, saying she's just this amazing athlete, one of a kind, all that stuff. Whether that's true or not, like, is this another element of you, winning a fight before the fight?
Well, it's they act like there's never been a Olympian that has ever busted for steroids. And then you look at that Icarus documentary and you see, the lengths that these Russians and other teams would go in order to, pass these drug tests because they knew that they'd piss hot if they took a real drug test. People that do these kinds of things and that have done them in the past are so smart. They know it down to a science, how to get off, when to cycle off, when to go on and when not to. So in the history of my entire career since 2013 with the UFC, never has PED use or steroids ever been a hot topic or something that has ever been discussed about any potential or opponent that I've ever had.
Hmm.
This is the first and only time. So it's not just me. Make her answer because I think that everybody is seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, and I'm just being the one that's saying it out loud. But you guys are the ones that are bringing the questions to me. You should be bringing the questions to her. And I don't care what she says about how much she's been tested and how clean she is. That's what Lance Armstrong said too. And you would have believed him every freaking time he said it. You would have been like, he's telling the truth, when really he wasn't. So it's just one of those things where, people are smart. They know how to cheat the system, and this is a question that she needs to answer, not me.
One of the things I've kind of thought about, like more generally when it comes to this topic, like she would have been under USADA for like years, right? With her Olympic time, all that stuff. But now it's not USADA with the UFC anymore. With your experience since they made that change like a year or so ago now, is it less stringent? Does it feel the exact same? How is this program now differed from USADA in your
I
experience?
feel like it's not that great. I felt more comfortable actually with those
Mm.
Icarus bottles, peeing into those Icarus bottles,
Right.
than I do now. I mean, honestly, it's just this little plastic cup that you just barely flip the tab on, and it's like it would be so easy. So I mean, I'm not saying I can only focus on myself, right?
Sure.
And I can
Yep.
only, speak in I statements and what I know that I'm doing, but I don't like the way that the testing system is now. I think that it's a lot more lax than ever before.
Fair. To kind of change gears here, I'm curious. Like, obviously, you are, one of the 3 UFC female champions right now, and I'm just curious what you kind of feel is like your obligation to the sport and to women's MMA in that position. Because I always think back to, Ronda, when she would always be like, I'm doing this not only for me, but to ensure like the secure future of women's MMA. Whether she fulfilled, all that is, I guess, up for debate. But do you feel like any of that burden to not only, I know it's a very selfish sport too, and you got to focus on maximizing your opportunity, but also making sure this thing is in a position to go on for years to come?
This is the burden that I relish. This is the burden that I cherish. This is the burden that I clawed my way for years and years in order to get to the top to get. This
Mm-hmm.
is a part of the sport. This is a part of the business. And Rhonda's absolutely right that she had a duty, to make sure that there was a secure future in women's mixed martial arts, and she couldn't have been more accurate. If I can inspire one little set of eyeballs that's a female or a little girl that wants to make her dreams come true one day. The idea is to get more women into the sport and to make sure that this sport continues to grow and that we get more eyes on the sport, men and women. And so if I can inspire little boys, little girls, to go after their dreams and chase their dreams, and it may not be fighting, it may not be getting locked inside the octagon, but just to let them know that they can achieve these dreams that they have for themselves, then I've done my job, and that's the only thing that I truly care about.
Yeah. And do you feel like some of the other women out there are taking, making the most of their opportunities? Because, like, you look what happened today at the weigh-ins for tomorrow's UFC event. Macy Barber missed weight for the main event, and then Ketlin Vieira missed weight for her fight with Macy Chiasson in your division, and they had to move it up to a featherweight fight. Like, do you look at some of these other fighters and be like, you're kind of messing it up for the rest of us to a degree?
I saw that Macy missed weight, and I didn't know that Catlin missed. How much did she miss by? You said featherweight, so now the fight's at 145 now.
So it was a weird thing. They announced during weigh-ins that the fight was going to be moved to featherweight, and then afterward, it got announced that they were still fining Ketlin 25% of her purse, even though they had like already announced a change. And then Macy Chiasson posted she was down to like 137, and their team called, said they won't make it, and she went back up to like 144 weight in there.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. I don't think that that has anything to do though with growing the sport and women wanting to compete or women wanting to follow their dreams or even little boys too or men as well. I think that they missed the mark and it shows their unprofessionalism, and that's very unfortunate. But that is not my cross to bear, and it's none of my business. I got bigger fish to fry,
Yeah.
and I have another mission in front of me that is much larger than that. I got my own weight to cut. And so it's not my place to be speaking about, excuse me, Mike. It's not my place to be speaking about the weight of another woman like that, unless their name is Kayla Harrison.
Sure. But I know you have had a few back and forths with Macy Barber in the past, and I think you did say she should be fighting at 135. Does this kind of reinforce that previous thought? And do you think maybe after this, you could see her someday?
No, I never said that she should fight at
Hmm.
135.
Okay, maybe I'm
But
misremembering.
I do not necessarily have any thoughts about her. She can come up to 135 if she wants to, and maybe she should if she's missing weight. But yeah, I don't have very many opinions on her. My only opinion is on Kayla Harrison and getting my hand raised on June 7th.
Yes. And so, how do you feel you get that done? I mean, we've seen her defeated just once, and I think there's some stuff you could definitely take away from that fight. But, going through this camp now, studying her whole game, how do you feel this fight goes?
I am excited about this fight, and I feel like the fight is going to go um with her trying to lay on top of me for 25 minutes, and she might throw me one time, but after that is where she's going to have a lot of contention with me. She's not going to be able to hold me down for 25 minutes. The longer this fight goes, the better for me. And I think she can start this fight on my back. She can start this fight in my guard with me on my back. She can start this fight on the feet, however she wants to start this fight. I am supremely confident wherever the fight goes.
And just last thing, I mean, Amanda showed up at that press conference. She did some interviews after saying she was going to fight the winner. She got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and then we haven't heard anything from her and anything since. Are you still feeling confident that is she going to be there for the fight? Do you think she'll meet you in the cage? Like, have any of your feelings changed after she showed up on that day?
I'm not worried about Amanda Nunes and what she's doing on fight night. I guarantee you she's going to be there. But other aside from that, my focus is 110% on Kayla Harrison on June 7th and getting my hand raised. That's all I care about.
Awesome, Juliana. Well, we really appreciate the time. I think this is definitely the biggest women's MMA title fight of the year, and probably will hold up that way unless Amanda does come back. So, best of luck. Appreciate the time, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.